इट इज जस्ट फॉर रीडिंग, ठीक है, ऐसा कोई डिटेल एसोथर्म्स पूछते नहीं है, बस जब वो डायग्राम होता है किसी एसोथर्म्स को तो आपको समझने के लिए कि उतना कॉन्ट्रास्ट क्यों वो लाइंस चेंज हुए, उसका ये रीजन है. So there is another topic which is known as temperature inversion. एसोथर्म्स पढ़ लिया हमने, टेम्परेचर एनोमली पढ़ लिया. सो व्हाट इज टेम्परेचर इन्वर्जन? If we look at temperature inversion, it says that it is a reversal of the normal behavior of temperature in the troposphere, right? Means a general pattern normal conditions में क्या होती है कि here there is warm air and the warm is slowly rising up, and as it is slowly rising up, it is losing away its temperature and it is becoming more cooler, and cooler it gets cold air ऊपर जैसे जैसे आते हैं. तो this is a normal conditions, but in case of a temperature inversion, as it is getting cold, so it's not that it will keep on getting cold, then there will be a layer of warm air, right? मतलब एक ठंडा लेयर है, उसका फिर एक गर्म लेयर है. तो when there is a warm layer that causes the cooler air to bend and come back to the earth. So that happens only if it, आप समझिए, if there had not been a warm air, so the cooler air had been kept on rising, but it is due to this block of the warm air, this cold air has been deflected back. So this happens only in temperature inversion. ठीक है. So temperature inversion is a reversal of the normal behavior of temperature in the troposphere. So this is one of the phenomena which happens only in troposphere, in which a layer of cool air at the surface is overlain by a layer of the warmer air. Like ये हमारा अर्थ था, यहाँ पे cool air था, and उसके बाद there's a layer of the warm air. Under normal conditions, temperature usually decreases with height, right? So after a layer of cold air, there is a layer of warm air. That happens in temperature inversion. ठीक है. So how does this temperature inversion takes place? For temperature inversion to take place, there has to be like various 3-4 factors which are more important. Like if we see the conditions favorable, as we said, it's saying a long winter night. क्यों? अब हमें पता था कि जो इनकमिंग सोलर रेडिएशन है, फिर आउटगोइंग सोलर रेडिएशन है, तो outgoing solar radiation has to be more than the incoming solar radiation. For that, see, it cannot happen in like in the days. मतलब like summer में क्या होता है, the days are long and the nights are short, and the nights उतना ठंडा भी नहीं, मतलब it can't lose much of its heat, right? So for temperature inversion, the winter has to be, sorry, the outgoing radiation has to be of lengthy. तो वो जनरली हैपेंस इन विंटर. विंटर में क्या होता है, जो नाइट्स होते हैं काफी ज्यादा बड़ा होता है, तो इसलिए लॉन्ग विंटर नाइट्स होते हैं. आउटगोइंग रेडिएशन इज ग्रेटर देन द इनकमिंग रेडिएशंस. ठीक है. देयरफॉर इट हैज टू हैपन इन विंटर. इफ इट सेज दैट ए लॉन्ग समर नाइट, नो. व्हाई? बिकॉज द आउटगोइंग रेडिएशन इज ग्रेटर देन द इनकमिंग रेडिएशन. वन पॉइंट. द सेकेंड पॉइंट, इट इज सेइंग ए क्लियर एंड क्लाउडलेस स्काई. व्हाई क्लाउडलेस स्काई? इफ देयर विल बी क्लाउडलेस स्काई, the outgoing radiation will be trapped. So that they do not get trapped, we have to have a clear and cloudless sky. So this is the second factor which is favorable for temperature inversion. If we talk of the next point, it is saying still air. Means there is no slow horizontal movement of air. अब क्या है, जब horizontal movement of air होगा तो it will mix, means the heat temperature from one place will move to another place. That heating or mixing of the air won't be able to form temperature inversion. And then it is saying dry air near the ground surface. ठीक है. The air near the ground should not contain moisture, or else fog or smog will take place. तो ड्राई एयर नियर द ग्राउंड सरफेस, स्टिल एयर, a clear and cloudless sky, and a long winter night. These are the four factors which is conditions required for formation of temperature inversion. ठीक है, आई होप आप लोग को समझ में आ गया होगा ये. Now if we talk of the kinds of temperature inversions, so basically there are three kinds of temperature inversions. ठीक है, I will see how the one kind of temperature inversion is different from the other kind of temperature inversions. Starting with first is the ground of surface temperature inversion. सो जनरल में क्या होता है, नॉर्मल स्टेट ऑफ एटमॉस्फेयर अगर हम बात करें तो ये हमारा लाइक प्लैनेट है, एंड देन द वार्म एयर राइजेस, राइट, एंड देन देयर इज ए लेयर ऑफ कोल्ड एयर, राइट, because as the air is rising up, it is losing its temperature, and then it slowly gets cool off. Warm air rises mixing with cool air, causing atmosphere to become unstable. This is the normal state of atmosphere. ठीक है, तो ग्राउंड और सरफेस टेम्परेचर इन्वर्जन में क्या होता है, दिस टेक्स प्लेस ऑन द लेयर्स इन कॉन्टैक्ट विद द सरफेस बाय द प्रोसेस ऑफ कंडक्शन. If the temperature of surface air drops below its dew point, if the temperature of surface air drops below its dew point, fog may result. This kind of temperature inversion is very common in the higher altitudes. ठीक है, in lower and middle latitudes it occurs during cold nights and gets destroyed during the daytime. So in the higher altitudes this is very common, it is saying, and in lower and middle latitudes ये सिर्फ रात में होती है और दिन में क्या होती है, क्योंकि द हीटिंग ऑफ द टेम्परेचर इट गेट्स डिस्ट्रॉयड. So this is the first kind of temperature inversion, which is the ground of the surface. If we talk of the second is the valley inversion. One we read is the first was the ground inversion, second is the valley inversion. If we talk of the valley inversion, that is, this inversion takes place in hill mountains is due to the air drainage. See, you have to understand, like चलिए यहां से मैं समझाता हूं. दिस इज माउंटेन्स. जनरल क्या होता है, नाउ एज द एयर इज राइजिंग अप इट इज लूजिंग इट्स हीट, और जैसे जैसे ये अपना होता है द एयर इज बिकमिंग कोल्ड, एंड एज द एयर इज बिकमिंग कोल्ड दिस इज, ये जैसे दोनों साइड्स में जा रहे हैं, इट इज नाउ क्रिएटिंग स्पेस फॉर दिस कोल्ड एयर टू सिंक इन, राइट. This happens during the day, and that happens like you feel a kind of like, see, the atmosphere in the hills, in the hills is very thin. Therefore, if you stand at a particular place, you will tend to get the heat very easily. So यहाँ पे ज़्यादा आपका गर्म ना हो, this warm air is being replaced by the cold air. This happens in the day, and similarly in the night. It should not be like the temperature should keep on decreasing. This warm air, like the cold air, the warm air is like once ये जो incoming solar radiation से यहाँ पे जो rocks and mountains heat हुए थे, now when they have like risen up, this cold airs from the surrounding places they rush in, ठीक है, and now when they rush in the process they get warm, and while reaching then they again rise up. This phenomena take night. This helps in maintaining the balance of the temperature so that it does not get extreme cold at night and doesn't get heated up at the morning. So this is the valley inversion. तो फटाफट देख लेते हैं क्या कहता है ये. The inversion takes place in hills and mountains due to air drainage. Cold air at the hills and mountains produced during the night flows under the influence of gravity. As I said, क्योंकि ग्रेविटी, देखिए ग्रेविटी सिर्फ हमारे ऊपर काम नहीं करता, ग्रेविटी हर चीज को अपने तरफ पुल करती है. तो दिस कोल्ड एयर इज बीइंग पुल्ड, राइट. कोल्ड एयर द हिल्स एंड माउंटेन्स प्रोड्यूस्ड ड्यूरिंग द नाइट फ्लोज अंडर द इन्फ्लुएंस ऑफ ग्रेविटी. Being heavy and dense, the cold air acts almost like water and moves down the slope to pile up deeply in pockets and valley bottoms with warm air above. This is called air drainage. इससे क्या होता है, it protects the plants from frost damage. ठीक है, अदरवाइज यहाँ पे क्या होता, जो वहां पे टी प्लांटेशन वगैरह जो भी होता, दे वुड लाइक अंडर द फ्रोस्ट, देयर रूट्स माइट हैव लाइक फ्रोजन, एंड लाइक कैपिलरी एक्शंस हो नहीं पाते एंड वुड नॉट बी एबल टू गेट द वाटर फ्रॉम द लैंड एंड those plantations might have died. So this temperature inversions helps to maintain the temperature and helps to prevent the frost in the hills or the higher altitudes. ठीक है, ये हो गया वैली इन्वर्जन. And the third is the frontal inversion. So till now we have read and understood two types of inversions. One was the ground, the second was the valley inversion, and the third one will be the like frontal inversion, which is adversarial types. देखिए इसको डायग्राम से आप समझने की कोशिश कीजिए. ठीक है, this is a cold air, right? And this is a warm air. तो warm air rises up. This cold air क्या करता है? You have to understand this cold air ऐसे मास जब है तो this warm air instead of going straight is not allowed to go straight but rather is pushed up, right? And therefore a kind of front is created, right? Where they don't mix up. ऐसे generally क्या होता है कि mixing of if a cold object and a hot object will come together like a clouds, तो generally और air तो वो mix up हो जाती है. But here they don't get mixed up, rather a front is being created where the warm air is being pushed up and the cold air sinks in. ठीक है, so frontal inversion. A frontal inversion occurs when a cold air mass undercuts a warm air. See, undercuts a warm air masses and lifts it aloft. इसको ये ऊपर की तरफ पुश कर देता है. The front between the two air masses then has warm air above and cold air below. See, they don't mix here. This type of inversion is unstable. This is unstable and is destroyed as the weather changes. ठीक है, and this also kind of fronts gives जो हमारे यहाँ पे कहते हैं temperate cyclone, that happens due to this frontal inversions. ठीक है, so this was the three kind of temperature inversions which we had to study. So if we'll now look at the consequences, like what are the like various temperature inversions के कारण होता क्या है? How मतलब like the factors it play, like it determines the precipitation, cloud formation. As we have seen that in the normal conditions the warm air like might have kept of rising higher and getting cooler and cold air. This is the normal conditions. But when this cold air has risen and there has been a layer of warm air, so now this has to be like उनको वापस धकेला जाता है. ठीक है, this happens in the temperature inversions. So due to which it happens, it determines precipitation and cloud formation. Because when this cooler air has been forced down, now this will comes down as precipitation. ठीक है, it affects diurnal variations. Air drainage system protects plant from frost damage. अभी जस्ट हमने थोड़ी देर पहले देखा कि how in the valleys and the temperature in the valley यहीं पे हमने see it protects plants from frost damage, the valley inversion, right? So the consequences of temperature inversions we were looking at. So it determines the precipitation, cloud formation, it affects diurnal variations, and then air drainage system protects plants from frost damages, right? Then the another consequences of temperature inversion is it limits the diffusion of air pollutant that aid fog or smog formation. Hence जो fog और smog formation जैसे what is smog? Smog is smoke plus fog. ठीक है, तो उसमें ज्यादा pollutants नहीं जाए, तो that temperature inversion helps to cut that. It aims to diffusion of air pollutant that aid fog or smog formation. Atmospheric stability की अगर हम बात करें तो temperature inversion discourages the vertical movement of air, which brings stability in the atmosphere. ठीक है, क्योंकि ये अगर आप देखेंगे तो ये क्या था टेम्परेचर इन्वर्जन के कारण से this does not allow the cooler air to get more high and then it comes down in the form of precipitations or like cloud. So it kind of brings atmospheric stability. Temperature inversion discourages the vertical movement of air. Here it has been stopped, so which brings stability in the atmosphere. Intense thunderstorms and tornadoes are also associated with inversion of temperatures. जैसे हमने बोला, मैंने बताया like the temperate cyclones or like thunderstorms. These are tornadoes. Tornadoes occurs in China and America. So these are the